Hello and welcome to Money Matters. My name is Malcolm Sime. Coming up on the show this week, the new dynamics surrounding the country's oil industry, the cost of the upsurge in insurance fraud, and the story of a former police officer raking in millions from dogs training. For a while now, the insurance industry has been struggling to grow penetration, but even before it tackles the challenge competently, another big one came knocking. Insurance fraud is on the rise and is today a big vice that the industry is grappling with. The depth of the problem and the impact this is having on the premiums you pay is our focus on this segment.
All right, Newton, always nice to have you on the show. Money Matters, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Charles. It's my pleasure.
Very good. What's happening in the industry, the insurance industry? What is the latest at the moment?
Well, just like the overall country economy is a bit limping at the moment, the insurance sector is also limping because when the economy is not growing at expected levels, we don't get the growth that we also expect. As at June, I think overall the industry had grown less than 12%.
Oh, I hear you. Let's talk about penetration. I know it's one thing you've been discussing and talking about. Are you improving on that front?
Yes, I think the penetration is improving. If you look at the micro insurance products that are being introduced on the market, the border insurance, the small life insurance products that are being sold through the mobile phones, those are all meant to sort of like increase the number of people that are being insured. However, what is happening is that because those are very small premiums in terms of percentage of that premium over the GDP, the penetration levels remain more or less the same. But if you look in the past year or two, there's been a slight increase in penetration from 0.65 to 0.85.
That's good to hear. Now, when you look at the fairly developed markets, one of the challenges many are contending with is the problem of fraud. I know in the UK for the fact, and a couple of other markets. How is it in Uganda?
Well, it's good that you stated the UK, which is a well-advanced market. The Lloyd's being an icon of insurance in the whole world. But if you look at the UK itself, it's still struggling with the 18% fraud ratio. In other words, of the total claims paid every year, 18% is attributable to fraud, which is quite high. Yeah. Now coming to Uganda and Africa, where the systems to detect fraud are quite weak, and the people who are trying to stage fraud are beginning to understand insurance. The fraud in the market is quite high, and we're looking at about 35% as a ballpark figure to estimate the total claims we pay, the billions we pay every year. About 35% of that is actually attributable to fraudulent claims.
That's quite high, considering that your penetration level is under 1% of GDP.
Yes, that's quite high. I would say fraud itself is quite a financial, strategic, and operational risk to the sustainability of the insurance sector, given that it's still in its infancy, and we're trying to get this this sort of like maturity that you need to sustain an industry. Mm-hmm. Of course, the introduction of VAT has not helped because it has made the insurance even much more costlier. Yes, yes. And fraud itself has always been a cost on the insurance equation, in the sense that as insurers, our actuaries price the insurance premiums based on the probability of us paying out claims.
Because actually I was going to ask what the cost of this is, because I mean, to a number of viewers, maybe they might look at it, with the pair of eyes that maybe the insurance companies will be the ones to pick the bill. Does it have any impact on the buyers of insurance policies?
Yes, the biggest impact, the biggest negative impact is on the buyers of insurance, is on the insuring public. How is that so? When the claims go up, when the claims cost to the insurance sector go up, we are forced by our actuarial formulas to increase the premiums to take care of the increase in the payouts that we are doing. So it is the duty of every insured person or every person interested in insurance to make sure that if they sniff fraud anyway, they kind of like stop it by informing the insurance companies, because that increase in the cost of claims is not good for the insurance public, because we simply increase the premiums to take care of the increase in the cost of claims. That's how the equation works. Or balancing, detecting the 5% that are trying to defraud the whole industry. They are quite a small number, but they are so organized that they are hitting each and every insurance company, to the extent that the cost of or the bill of insurance fraud is increasing at a very alarming rate.
How do they do this many a time? How does it normally occur?
Well, the most dangerous one is the staged fraud. The normal fraud that we normally see is where you have a small, or you lose a TV, someone has broken into your house, then you add a VCR that you didn't have, or you add a PVR that you didn't have. Those things are a normal part of the fraud. They are the smaller part of the fraud. But these ones, we are talking organized syndicates, where people actually stage manage the accidents. For example, you insure a pretty new truck, then you take it on the road, or you push it down the cliff so that it's a write-off and the insurers pay out. More so now that the economy is tough and the installments on all these leased vehicles are becoming a problem for entrepreneurs. What they're doing is that they're saying, look, I'm suffering because I can't afford this installment, so what do I do? Because there's a bank interest in this asset. So what they do is they say, look, how can I get rid of it? The only way I get rid of it is to put it on fire or to push it over the cliff, and then I get my insurers to pay off the bank and I'm out of this problem.
I get you. Now, let's look at the legal framework as it is at the moment, and of course the legislation side of things, but then also the people who are adjudicating these matters. Do you have enough cover as players in this industry as regards those aspects? Because when you talk fraud, you have to think legislation.
Yes.
You have to think adjudication.
Yes. Recently, KPMG carried out a survey in 2015 on insurance fraud in the region, that is in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. Now, one of the things that came up now that you're talking legislation is that we don't have a proper Insurance Fraud Act to deal with fraudsters. So as a result, these people are tried, or they are sort of like taken through the courts in the normal way that any other fraud, like you stealing from your employer or something, the normal criminal act is what is used to convict them. And that becomes very difficult because insurance is a special field, and it's got its own special insurance law that must be taken care of. So that we are working on through the Secretariat and the insurance regulator to try and improve on the issues of fraud and corporate governance to ensure that the companies are not exposed to insurance fraud.
On that note, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.
Always a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
On to the oil and gas sector now, and prospects from commercialization of Uganda's vast oil deposits may take a while if the direction of activities around the sector are anything to go by. On the pipeline, government has now moved to explore yet again the Tanzanian route to the port of Tanga, following a memorandum of understanding signed here in Kampala this week.
Government is now reflecting on its earlier plans alongside Kenya to roll out its infrastructure for the oil pipeline down to the seas.
If a decision is taken to go in one direction and maybe it is slightly more expensive, you can create some incentives and therefore reduce the cost. So a decision will be taken. As of now, a final decision is really not taken because we need to look at all the three routes, examine the assumptions, and come out with least cost. If a route is possibly more expensive than the other, but there can be other considerations, and you take it, you can create an incentive structure.
Early this week, a new memorandum of understanding was signed with the government of the United Republic of Tanzania and Total E&P for crude oil pipeline development.
Our driver was to look at how this option can also be looked at, how it can be exploited. Now, as I said at the time of signing, if, for example, Tanzania, which is carrying out oil exploration in Rukwa, in Lake Tanganyika, finds resources, then they add value. This pipeline adds value to those resources. Why not? So any opportunity that comes in helps everybody to lower the price.
The MOU aims at finding a least cost-effective route and a framework between the two states and firms undertaking the development of a crude export pipeline project through Tanzania to the Tanga port. The ministry adds that a line of major activities are now lined up towards oil production activities.
Promoting and monitoring petroleum exploration and development in order to achieve local production. 4. Developing petroleum refining, pipeline transportation, and bulk storage infrastructure. 5. Streamlining petroleum supply and distribution. 6.
Development partners have since weighed in on the delay around production of oil, whose revenues are so much needed to actualize government's economic blueprint Vision 2040.
I think that a number of questions need to be answered before production can start. There's the question of the pipeline. There has been taken a decision about the cost of the pipeline, but questions on financing and on construction, on the destination need to be answered. It has been agreed that this should be done as quickly as possible.
Relatedly, government is maintaining that the two key oil firms, TAL and Total E&P, are yet to fine-tune the terms of sharing of the lucrative resource before production licenses can be issued.
Value of the resource. So you need to make sure that you produce as much resource as possible. 2, no wastage, especially with regards to gas. And so you must have the gas utilization options that are agreed and in the government, in the investor and the government interest. So if you don't have alignment on some of those key provisions, then you need first to take time and discuss and make sure your interests are both taken care of.
Now, there are fancy-looking electrical accessories and seeming cheap electric cables. You might have used some of these electricals and wondered what happened. In Consumer Insight this week, we discuss what you should look out for when purchasing electrical wires and how to check out fakes.
Many consumers have bought cool electricity cables like this one.
5, these are 10, plus these 15.
It looks nice on the surface, but it's substandard, as this Bureau of Standards official demonstrates.
You can see that you can just pull it and it breaks. Now this one, if you are going to use it for any purpose, ironing, cooking, it will not support the power. This one will definitely burn up.
That problem extends to electricity wires, which, if you're not careful at installation, will burn your house.
When they are cheating, they will either use a smaller size of copper, or they will use some other material, which is not copper. The case in point is here. This is a typical copper. It's normally about pale brown. And this is not copper, some other material. This one which has a different color. This one here. The color will be so different from copper. The other way they cheat is to indicate that this material is insulation, PVC, when it is not. So PVC is quite strong, but if it is tearing so easily like that, it's not PVC. If you get a good sample like this, tearing it apart is quite hard. It will, but you'll use a lot of energy to tear it.
Almost always, the trick is in the price. Cheaper will usually have issues.
If the dealers suspect that when they give a lower price, much lower price, they can be suspect, they tend to bring up their price closer to the genuine ones. Say for instance, if the genuine one costs about 50,000, a fake one may be marked up to maybe 40, and that may deceive you. But normally the price of a fake one is much lower than the price of a genuine one.
If you are no expert and you need to stop your house from burning down, take precautions.
You try to deal with professional business people, those who can even offer you more advice, or if possible, they can as well advise you on the various kind of grades. In that case, you can be able to make a choice. The other option is to engage professional technicians who can be able to give you advice.
Lastly, if even when you have good extension cables, but they seem to be spoiled by overheating power plugs, then it might be due to loose terminals in the extension. Try fixing that.
Clinics and hospitals are dedicated to a single objective, and that's to provide the best possible care for patients. Yet the experience of patients should be defined by flow, transportation, and other services. This week's edition, Wilson Kutegeka shares his experience on how a hospital management and billing system helps ease patient management. Many Ugandan businesses are heavily investing in hospitals and health service points generally, and many, however, often waste too much time, money and resources on ensuring efficiency in service delivery. But with changing times, technological innovations are offering smart options, for instance, a hospital management and billing system.
Clinic Master software is a hospital information management and medical billing system. Or it automates patient's transaction in the hospital as the patient transacts on a visit basis and daily procedures. That means whatever the patient touches in the hospital is put together as an electronic record of that patient by Clinic Master.
Profiting from such a venture requires sufficient knowledge of how the medical industry works.
Understand what someone at reception does, understand what the doctor does, understand what people in the lab do, what someone in pharmacy does. Now, once you've got that knowledge in detail with you, you may not need to be an expert in it, but at least work with somebody who has the understanding of these different services on the project. Then after that, try to also think through these processes, figure out how best can I have a system probably to even add value.
In fact, one can save more by putting together a comprehensive system that is able to manage various service points.
We thought of actually coming up with an appointment system to be able to remind us of missed appointments by some of the patients now. On starting to work on the appointment system, later on we actually realized the entire hospital had a few gaps here and there, starting from reception, going to the doctor, going to the lab, also pharmacy in terms of record.
It's also key to note that for innovations to work, patience is key.
It really takes time, the system to mature itself, and also you need to get the requirements right, otherwise the system may not be used. So sometimes you'll come up with a process flow, work it out, test it, but on ground results actually dictate otherwise.
But how does such a system make money, and the key virtues one needs to uphold to stay afloat?
We are paid in terms of support. When we deploy the system, probably we charge installation fees. After charging installation fees and training, set up the system, then we go on what we call a maintenance or support fees, which is probably paid every year. We are focused on Clinic Master, apart from maybe adding value around it. Like for example, if someone doesn't have a network, a good network, and we have the knowledge and insist that we should also help in the network, we might do, but we don't take any other job.
The former head of the Canine Department in the Uganda Police Force, Michael Wopo, took the knowledge and experience he attained on the job and started his own business, Keisha Dog Trainers, 3 years later, and he says he has no regrets. We bring you his story in this week's Entrepreneur segment.
It's while working in the Canine Department of the police force that Michael refined the idea to start a business in the same line of trade.
We could find people interested in dogs. So we could I could talk to them. Then you find someone is interested in having a security dog at his or her premises. I could get a dog to those people who are breeding outside there, sell to them, do their training. And I realized it's a good business.
With the decision to start up his own venture clearly made, he knew that for the venture to give him good returns, he had to do a lot more. He had to diversify.
Basically, our work here is all about training dogs. It's about selling dogs. It's about selling dog accessories. It's about boarding services. We also offer them. Like you see, we have kennels. Someone can bring their dogs, and we do that service. We do also veterinary service.
For all this to get done, Michael has 11 employees, but since the dog training business largely involves imparting of skills, he has to make sure that all of them are up to par.
Myself, I'm a trainer, because I got the knowledge from Uganda Police Force. And not only that, I also went for further training in Israel, in South Africa. So myself, I'm a good trainer. I do train them. I've also trained other trainers to train those who come when I'm busy.
On whether the dog training business is actually a profitable one, Michael speaks of the benefits he has managed to get out of it.
I've been able, of course, to get the land that we propose that next year we are starting a dog academy. About 5 acres of land. The second thing, I have a home, very beautiful home that I've built through this this business.
However, this is not to suggest that his is a business that is without challenges.
The biggest number in this country who are breeding, they just breed to sell. But they may not know what exactly a guard dog should have before selling it to a person. That is the challenge. So you go and buy a dog, you find a dog, yes, looks good, it's a nice breed, but it lacks a character of a guard dog. So that's the biggest challenge, that you'll give us a dog, we train it, but then when it lacks that natural character of guarding, where we can also add on, sometimes we don't get the right results.
Michael's is a story built on passion and love for animals, which attributes he opted to turn into a moneymaker, a decision which he insists has paid off dividends.
Let us now take a look at what's latest in the financial markets. That's it this week on Money Matters. Thanks so much for your time. My name is Malcolm Sime. In case you need to get back to us, text us on 6565. Look for NTV Money Matters on Facebook. Leave your comments and views. Otherwise, we're turning on your world.